The ultimate Coca-Cola fan in Taiwan? That title goes to Chen Sheng-fa. His love for Coca-Cola runs so deep that the company itself honored him with a place in its Hall of Fame.
Coca-Cola saw photos of my collection and started looking for collectors worldwide. 4 people were able to enter their Hall of Fame. 1 from France, 1 from Belgium, and 1 from the US. I'm the only one from Asia. Hi, I'm Chen Sheng-fa. I'm one of the top 4 Coca-Cola collectors in the world. Welcome to my Coca-Cola workshop.
Coca-Cola, the drink that represents American pop culture, is now enjoyed in more than 200 countries. When Coke first arrived in Taiwan in the 1950s, it wasn't just a beverage. It was a symbol of style and modern life. Its bold red and white packaging, combined with influences from cultures around the globe, inspired a wave of collectibles and created a whole new community of collectors. And in the small city of Chiayi, one man rode that wave like no other: Chen Sheng-fa, the only Asian ever inducted into Coca-Cola's Hall of Fame. He even became one of the 4 stars of a 2006 documentary produced by the company's headquarters.
Let me show you my Coca-Cola collection. There are more than 10,000 items here. I've been collecting for over 30 years. Coca-Cola only makes a custom bottle with your name on it once you've reached a certain level. It's the only one in the world. This is something I can proudly tell my grandchildren about for the rest of my life. Being able to enter their Hall of Fame is no easy feat. You need a certain amount of collection before you could enter the pick. There are so many collectors worldwide, so why was I chosen? Because I had something unique that attracted the company to fly from overseas to me. They even sent an Oscar-winning film crew to follow me for 3 days. They filmed my daily life and how I collected items. The team came to film in 2006. In 2007, the Atlanta Museum reopened. They sent me an invitation card, but no plane ticket, so I couldn't attend because I couldn't afford it at the time. I could only look sadly at the invitation card and tell myself, one day I'll go. Until 2015, nearly 15 years later, I finally made it to the US to see my documentary. When I saw it being played in the museum, I almost cried. At first, I collected without focus. As long as it had the Coke logo, paper, newspapers, anything, I collected it all. Later, I realized that wasn't the way. I needed specific goals. So I started focusing on Taiwan's vintage items with Mandarin characters. Preserving Taiwan's old pieces became one of my main goals. This car wash name was officially authorized by Coca-Cola. When I first opened my shop, it wasn't called Coke. But since I collected Coke items, customers began calling me Coke, Coke, wash my car. Eventually, I thought, why not make it official? I applied to the US headquarters, asking if I could use Coke as my logo. They said yes, so I used Coke as my shop sign. I kept using it, business went well, and fellow collectors from all over the world came to visit me. That name gave me a big advantage.
They call him the Coke King for good reasons. Chen's love for Coca-Cola runs so deep that he transformed his car detailing shop into Taiwan's very first one with a Coca-Cola theme. Inside, he built his very own Coca-Cola museum, filled with rare items long out of production. His crown as the Coke King is well earned. Yet, his journey started with nothing more than a single, ordinary Coke bottle.
This is my very first Coke bottle. It's called my first bottle because it was one of the things that sparked my collection, so it's very precious to me. Almost everyone has 1 or 2 Coke items at home. A friend gave me a bottle of Coke, and that's when I went crazy collecting. It was the beginning of it all. I found Coke bottles very appealing, especially being red, which I loved at the time, so I started collecting like crazy. Like this beautiful bottle, it holds 175 ml. It was probably only released in 3 places worldwide and is discontinued: Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Taiwan. Only these places had it, and now it's discontinued globally, including Taiwan. I think it's a really beautiful bottle. Why was it designed like this? It was designed for the blind so that even in the dark they could feel the curves and immediately know it was Coca-Cola without being told. So if I pick it up in the dark, I can tell it's Coca-Cola right away. This design philosophy explains the company's success.
That simple bottle opened the door to a lifetime of collecting. But not everything was smooth. One devastating fire nearly turned his decades of hard work into ashes. Still, Chen stayed positive, refusing to let loss define his passion.
The loss is hard to calculate. The estimation exceeds 5 to 6 million Taiwan dollars. These items represent the time I spent, so their value can't really be measured in money. At that time, my feelings were chaotic. All I could think about was saving my collection. The firefighters told me not to go inside, so I gave up. I didn't have the energy to think about what to do. I just wanted to rebuild and restore everything back to how it was. Let me show you some things from the fire. This Coke clock stopped at 2:05, the exact time of the fire. It was one of my favorite pieces. Here are some Coke yo-yos, bottle openers, and other items that were burned. I turned these remains into an art installation. I think it works. This whole area is full of fire-damaged relics. Look at this bottle. It was burned at thousands of degrees until it completely melted. That's a rare sight. Why do you keep all these burned remains? Because I think they're special. I might be the only person in the world who has something like this. To be burned at such high temperatures until the bottle deforms, that's something rare. I decided to keep it as a kind of artwork. What was really great was the care I received from people after the fire. It made me realize that after a tragedy, there are still many people who care about you, and that's a wonderful thing. For example, this doll was given to me by an elementary school kid. One day, she went by on a scooter. She said, "Uncle, this is a Coke figure I've kept for a long time. I want you to have it." Even though it's something simple, it has great meaning to me. Because that little girl was willing to give me her collection, so I was touched. Collecting is priceless.
Over 30 years, Chen has collected more than 20,000 items, investing nearly 10 million NTD. But to him, the true value isn't about money. With a smile, he says, it's all in the heart. And of all his treasures, there is one special Coca-Cola bottle that he considers the most precious of all.
My most valuable piece is from the first batch of the Taiwan Coke factory. Only about 200 sets exist worldwide, and very few made it to the market, but I managed to get one. It's one of my proudest collections and also the most expensive. This is the Princess Diana bottle, the only Coke bottle in the world designed with a wide mouth. After Princess Diana's tragic accident, the value of this bottle skyrocketed. At one point, it was being sold for 180,000 Taiwan dollars. Now it's probably not that high anymore. It's a must-have item for collectors worldwide. I rely on collectors worldwide to help me. My goal is to collect 100 bottles. How many are you away from that goal? About halfway there. I'll collect the rest slowly. These days, I just go with the flow. If something comes my way, I'll take it. What's meant to be yours will find you. This Coke yo-yo set is the only one left, and it's in traditional Mandarin. I considered it one of my proudest collections. It was almost destroyed in the fire. Smoke damaged it, but luckily I saved it in time. About 3,000 yo-yos were burned on one wall. Yo-yos are one of the main focuses of my collection. So what about the ones that survived? The ones that survived? Well, it's like a blessing in disguise. Some private collectors even called me asking if I wanted their pieces. At first I thought it was a scam, but it turned out to be real, and I almost cried when I got them. My focus is mainly on old Taiwanese items with traditional Mandarin characters. I try to buy back Taiwanese pieces that ended up with foreign collectors. I think that's very meaningful. Foreign collectors have started 30 years earlier than the Taiwanese because they had distinct taste. For example, Taiwan's vintage bottles, cans, even empty boxes or PET bottles can be sold for tens of thousands. When you buy back Taiwan's vintage items, do you feel a sense of satisfaction? Of course I do. Bringing them back to Taiwan gives me a real sense of belonging. I think it's wonderful.
For Chen, Coca-Cola is more than a drink. It's a part of his life. His family was once skeptical about his hobby, but now fully supports him. To him, collecting isn't measured in numbers or price tags. It's about joy, about stories, about the connections he makes along the way. This is the world of the Coke King, and his story is still being written.
I'll keep collecting until I can't anymore. People ask me, what will you do with your collection in the future? I don't really think about it. If you think too much about the future, you won't do anything now. It's just about collecting with an open heart. I can always donate them to a museum. I think that would be a very positive form of education.